Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Animal Crossing. This one is gonna be kind of like cut and pasty. As you can see, I didn't just leave through that restaurant. But this episode was originally very long because I was like doing stuff around the town and around the island, and I just decided to cut it. I didn't want it in there. This is another episode where the microphone wasn't really working the first time around, so this time I'm just narrating over it. And I'm probably going to be talking a little bit softer this time, just because I'm not recording alone. And if anyone knows what that's like to not really be used to recording yourself and then have someone in the house while you're recording, it's a little awkward and weird. So I'm a little bit quieter this time, but it's okay. I put my mic closer to my face. Anyways, today we are going to be talking about my favorite cozy / autumnal games. I really like these kinds of games in general, just games that you can like sit down and get cozy with and everything. I think they're really nice. Animal Crossing is top of the list. I feel like I shouldn't I shouldn't even have to talk about it, especially if you're watching this video. You already kind of get the gist of it. Animal Crossing is just pure joy. Like, it's just so much fun. Especially now with Happy Home, or Planner, Island Designer thing. Like, it just makes it so much cozier, because you can actually, I don't know, design things. And I'm at the point now, actually, I've reached a certain level where, I can start, like, proposing ideas to people rather than them telling me what they want. So that's kind of interesting. Also, this area, I might have mentioned it in one of my other videos, but this spot on the map with all the bamboo trees, that's like my go-to Japanese style or Asian style housing area, just because it has all the bamboo trees. I know there's a couple of other locations that have like the cherry blossoms, but I always pick this one for some reason. It just feels the most zen. But yeah, Animal Crossing, super fun, really great time waster also. Not that you're necessarily wasting time, but if you just like, you need time to kill, I guess, so time killer. But if you need like time to kill and stuff, then this is a really good one, because you can do like little errands. Like, for instance, right now I'm trying to get money so that I can build bridges, and you can probably do like cheater-ish kind of ways to get money, which is totally fine, to each their own. But if you don't want to do that, like I don't want to do that, for instance, it makes it harder, obviously, but it also does mean that like you're actually playing the game. So like, I'm trying to fish a lot right now. I'm trying to do like the deep sea diving kind of a thing, to get new, they're not fish, but like aquatic creatures. So like, I just got a bunch of crab and lobster that I've never gotten before. So that was pretty cool, which like, they're very fast. I remember just like spamming my buttons going like, go faster, because they're very, very fast. So it's actually kind of fun and exhilarating. But they are also cozy, especially right now during the autumn and the winter times. It's like very cozy. But like, even the spring and summer is cozy, but in a different way than autumn and winter is. It's a different kind of warmth, I guess. But yeah, so Animal Crossing, and especially now that Brewster is there, it just, to me, it just got like even more autumnally warm. So yes, Animal Crossing is the very top one on the list. I might actually have to do a couple lists, because this video is pretty long also. It's, even with the editing, it's still pretty long. Hotel Dusk is the next one. This is probably one of my favorite games to play. I have it on my 2DS. You can get it on the 3DS, you can get it on the DS, the regular DS, because I think that's what it was for originally. I would love it if they could like remaster it and put it on the Switch, because that would be amazing, especially with the second one. It's a series, it's like a mini-series, kind of. So Hotel Dusk is the first one, and then, what the heck was the second one called? Ah, man. Now I have to look it up. Because my brain is saying secret window, but I feel like that is inaccurate. Hotel Dusk sequel. Last Window, The Secret of Cape West. That's what the second one is. So I kind of had secret and window in there, but not together. But yeah, so Hotel Dusk is about this dude who was a police officer originally, or a detective or something like that, and his partner kind of went to the dark side, I guess you could say, and was like either like a jewel thief of some kind, or he was helping someone. He was in bad business, basically, with some not very good people. And so Kyle Hyde, who is the protagonist, the main character that you play as in the series, he shoots his partner, but does he? Well, dun dun dun, because they never find his body. So Kyle Hyde gets removed from the force because it got a little too personal, because this guy was also like his best friend. So he gets removed from the force, loses his job, and after that he just becomes like a door-to-door salesman. This takes place like in the 70s too, I think. 70s, like mid to late 70s, I want to say. Yeah, it's like late 70s. And anyways, so he's doing another, job, still hating his life, doing whatever, but it's like very, very detective noir kind of a thing. Like it's got that style, but it's also like all the art is like hand drawn, which is really cool. So it feels like the Take On Me video from Aha, the whole time. And like the music is really jazzy, and it's just a really nice game. And it's pretty easy gameplay too. It's kind of like a visual novel, but not at the same time, because you can pick like how you want to say things or what kind of interactions you want to have. So I guess it's still kind of visual novel-ish, because you get to decide what your character is saying. But like you can have bad ends based on bad relationships that you've made with people versus good ones. But you're basically letting your detective instincts kick in, because you kind of have some clues as to where your ex-partner is while you're doing this delivery thing at this location called Hotel Dusk. Room 214, I want to say it is. Room 215. That's the one. Or maybe it is in the 80s. It's like early 80s, late 90s. Or not late 90s, sorry, early 80s, late 70s. But yeah, it's really fun. It's a really jazzy game. It's like kind of laid back, but like there's definitely a lot of mystery in it. There's a lot of oh god, what are words? I'm very tired today. Intrigue. There's a lot of mystery and gosh, I can't word, but it's fun. Thrill. There's a lot of thrill in there. There's a lot of thriller-ish kind of things happening in the game, but it's altogether just really fun and pretty cozy also. Like it's just a nice game to just like sit down and play on the couch, because it's not like really hard, challenging gameplay, which to me is much more cozy than like challenging gameplay is, because I'm not like stressed or struggling or like, oh my god, all the time, but it is also very captivating. So, and then of course the music is just so chill and like rad, and like, I don't know, it's just a great game. I highly recommend it. It's really hard to talk about because I just love it so much. It's just like a unique kind of experience that like you have to experience it to really get the vibe for it. Anyways, next is Night in the Woods, which I do want to play on this channel. I've already played it before. I played it on my Switch, and I might play it on the Switch again now that I've learned how to hook it up to my computer and record for it. But I do also have it on my Steam on PC, because that was where I got it originally, I guess. I don't remember buying it on there, but apparently I do. So I have Night in the Woods, so I can play it on PC or on Switch. Doesn't really matter for me. But same thing, music. Music is a big thing for me with games, and like what makes them cozy, or just what gives them the vibe that they get. Like horror games, they have to have really good atmosphere and really good music. So like Resident Evil does horror really, really well, because it and it just captures it all really, really well. But yeah, so the music in this game, it's like one of my favorite soundtracks, first of all. It's also very cozy and like calm, but it has moments where it's kind of spooky. And you'll notice that some of these games have that, where it's like calm, but sometimes also a little spooky. Because to me, that's just kind of what comes with autumn, because when I think autumn, I also think Halloween. And so I already did like the spooky thriller kind of stuff, but some of these might still be kind of spooky, a little bit. Night in the Woods, though, you play as this cat named May, and so everyone's an animal of some kind in this game. But you play as this animal, this bass guitar playing animal named May. She's a cat, May Wazowski, Mike Wazowski, something like that. But you play as her, and she comes back home after dropping out of college, and she's got some stuff happening, but she doesn't really talk about it. It does have a lot to do with mental illness too, at a certain point, and so it like really hit me when that kind of became apparent. But it's not like it's really important to the plot, but it's also not like the main thing, if that makes sense. But yeah, so she comes home, and it's basically just you walking around the town and like doing the same routine every day, but it's a little different every day. So like in the beginning, it can kind of feel a little the same gameplay over and over again, but like the more that you do things in the game, and you can choose like which friends you want to hang out with more. So it's kind of like Oxenfree in that sense, because you can pick like one friend or the other to give more attention to, and that kind of changes how the story goes and how it ends. So it's like a little bit different, but not really. Also, there's like a secret cult that's in this town that again is really important to the story, just because May and her friends somehow get involved with the cult completely on accident. They just kind of stumble into it, and then they have to deal with it. But it's like a very slow build sort of game in that sense. It leads all the way up to it, and then that's also where like the mental health thing kind of comes to a head, is they all kind of reach that same peak, like that same climax peak. So it's just a really good, really fun game, really cozy. It's like very wholesome, but also kind of weird and random at times, and just really enjoyable. I really like this game. It's kind of longish, but not really long. It's not like a 30-hour game kind of a long or anything like that, but it's long because you're repeating a lot of the same stuff, but it doesn't really get boring because it's always different, even though it's the same, if that makes sense. But it's just a very cozy, like atmospheric kind of game that also has a little bit of danger in it. So yeah, that's Night in the Woods. It's really fun. I want to get tattoos of Night in the Woods. Almost all of these I think I would be willing to get a tattoo on my body for, because I just love these games. Child of Light, which I have played on this channel before, so if you haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. It is a longer game. It's like a RPG game, but like a turn-based kind of RPG game, but not in the same sense as like Final Fantasy or anything like that. I've also mentioned it before in a review video that I did like years ago, but I'm putting it in here real quick, just because it is, again, one of those, at least for me, one of those cozy games. It has like a much more somber feel, because the character dies in the beginning, and then she wakes up somewhere else in this place called Lumeria. So she's still dead, but she's also alive, if that makes sense. She's just in a different world. And she's trying to find her way back home. And she ends up running into like all of these really interesting, weird kind of characters, and she gets wings, which is cool. She's got this little crown that protects her, and yeah, she ends up having to fight a particular someone or someones. I won't spoil that part. But yeah, she's got to fight her way through, and like along the way though, it's really cool because you pick up all these little notes, and it like tells the history kind of Lumeria. Like there's stuff that's actually happening in Lumeria with the people there, and then there's someone who ends up in Lumeria also that studies it, and so it's like their observations of it. It's just really interesting. So for me, super duper interesting game. I love the story and the lore. The soundtrack is again one of my favorites. I own it. I play it in my car all the time. When I'm in my car, I don't really leave the house that much anymore. but I do listen to it a lot. It's a very nice soundtrack. It's also the game that brought me to the woman slash band that made the music. I'm gonna butcher this, but it's French. Corps de Pirate, Corps de Pirate. But like, she does all of the music for the game, and that was what made me discover her. And I like her, like, music in general too, her solo stuff. So, really good, really really good. Also, like, all of the characters speak in rhyme, so it's a very whimsical kind of a game. And you can, like, fly around and stuff. It's really fun. There's, like, monsters, so it's very fantasy-esque also, and it's just cozy, but in, like, a really somber kind of a way, because it deals a lot with, like, death and loss and that kind of stuff, but weirdly in, like, a positive way. I don't know, it's kind of hard to to describe or explain, but if that makes sense to you, then it makes sense. If not, you can either watch my playthrough or you can play it yourself. I highly recommend playing it yourself. It's a fantastic game. It's a wonderful game. My biggest issue, though, is that the ending feels very rushed. Like, you have one main battle with, like, 3 main bad guys, but they're not, like, the main baddie, they're just, like, the second most powerful ones. And so you have a battle with them that then leads immediately into the final battle. And then the final battle happens, and there's not really anything else that happens. It's just, like, battle ends. Game is done. Here's your really quick wrap-up cutscene. Like, but they, like, wrap it up real quick, and I'm like, okay, but what? But what happens with this? But what about that? Like, I had so many questions. I still have so many questions. But I had so many questions, I was basically ready to, like, write an essay on it, and, like, I have pages and pages of research that I was doing on it about Lumeria, because it is, like, an actual place, but not really. It's like Atlantis, you know what I mean? Like, it's an actual fictional place, but might be real, who knows? But yeah, so, like, I started doing research on it because I wanted to know more, and it felt, like I said, it felt really rushed, and, like, they didn't quite end it nicely, I guess. So that's my only gripe with it, is that it felt rushed. I really want them to, like, remake and remaster it, but if they do that, I want them to make the game feel more complete and not rush the ending, because the thing was that after each boss, you had at least a small chance to, like, recuperate your forces and, like, your supplies and stuff, and they just didn't give that to you at all. They were just like, oh, you beat these guys, right on to the next one, and then you're done with the game, and that's it. And so, yeah, it just felt too rushed. But yeah, Child of Light, one of my favorite games of all time, and highly recommend it. It's very cozy. It's a very cozy playthrough. It is a little more stressful than some of the other ones just because there's, like, battles, but the battles are not that hard. And also the art style is beautiful. It's all, like, watercolory and stuff, so it's just cozy vibes all around. There's this other one that is very short. It's called When the Past Was There, and it's like, it's really sad. I wasn't prepared to be as sad as I was at the end of it, and to, like, cry as much as I did. I just wasn't prepared. It just seemed like another, like, really quirky, beautiful art style sort of a game. The soundtrack was also really amazing for it. Very, very short game, though. It's only, like, 3, maybe 4 hours, depending on how much trouble you have with some of the puzzles that are in there. But it tells the story about these 2 people who are in love, and, like, how they met and how they come apart, I guess. That's all I can really say without spoiling too much. But, like, it's such a beautiful, beautiful game. And I don't remember there being any words. It's one of those games, again, where there's, like, no words. It's all told through the visuals, the gameplay, and the music. And, like, oh my god, though. It's so good. The puzzles are really simple. The story is really interesting and heartbreaking and beautiful. But, like, it's definitely also, like, one of those things where if you're having, like, one of those kind of bad days and you just want to, like, lay down on the couch and, like, it's raining, even if it's not raining outside, like, you know what I mean, like, it's raining in your head and in your heart and your soul and everything. It's just, like, a sad day, and you just kind of want to let it all out. This is one of those games that will both make you feel better but also worse. Because like you'll be able to cry, basically. It's a very, very sad game, but it's told so beautifully. Like, it's still a beautiful, beautiful story, but it's really sad. It's like a happy ending, but it's a bittersweet ending kind of a thing. So, really good. Florence also is another one that I guess you can put in there. Florence is similar, but also different, because there is still romance in it, but the romance isn't like the central part of it. It's like the main thing that happens in there, but it's not the central theme of it. Whereas like with this one, it's definitely the love and the relationship is kind of the theme for When the Past Was There. You can play this game on Switch, by the way. I don't know if I think it is available on Steam too, but you can definitely play it on Switch. That's what I played it on. Coffee Talk. I played the demo of this years ago, and I actually have the demo version on this channel. I have a playthrough of it. Although I might replay through the entire game again if you guys want. It's just, this one's like the most chill video game that I've ever played. It's really good. It's got like really nice lo-fi music. You play as this barista, whose gender I suppose you don't really know, but I think that they say he, so you're supposed to be a he, I think. Could be wrong. But you play as a barista in some random year, 20-something, I think, and it's like our world, but not, because there are monsters in this game as well as humans, I think. Actually, I don't even know if you see any humans. We assume that you're a human, but there's a secret that says you're not. Anyways, but yeah, it's got lo-fi music, coffee, and monsters, and so it's really fun. And basically, the gameplay is you're a barista who just serves these monsters and creatures and people, and like you help them based on what drinks you give them. So like they're gonna ask for specific things that aren't, sometimes they're not gonna specifically ask for like a hot chocolate, for instance, but they might be like, I want something hot and sweet and chocolatey, and you'll be like, okay, hot chocolate, because those are like the notes that are in it or whatever. So you kind of have to do a little bit of puzzle figuring out to figure out what kind of drinks they want, and if you get it correct, then like you make their day, you help them out, and if you don't get it correct, then you're not listening to them, which makes it a little bit worse. So it can be kind of difficult sometimes, because you'll have to create your own recipes, and then if you get it right, then you get a recipe, and then it's in your books, and you're like, okay, cool, fantastic. But if not, then yeah, if not, then you kind of don't make their day, and it's not going to be as good. So you can definitely help the people that come into your cafe, or you can hurt them based on how you prepare their drinks, which can actually be pretty true. If someone's having a really bad day and all they want is like that hot chocolate, and you mess it up as a barista, that's not gonna make their day. I've been there. I've been on the barista side, and I've been on the receiving side, because I was a barista for a while, which is what got me into Coffee Talk, because I was like, ooh, a game where you play as a barista, that's awesome. I love doing that. That was like one of my favorite jobs ever. But yeah, so you don't really make any choices in this game, though. So this one kind of plays like a visual novel, but not really, because you're listening to people talk in your cafe, and every now and then they might ask you for advice or something, and you can give it, but like, you're not really controlling what's happening. The only way that you control what happens is based on how you treat them, basically, and how you give them the order that they asked for and that kind of stuff. But you can do like latte art in it. It's just a really fun, cozy game. There's a lot of dialogue, though, so it is very dialogue heavy, because you're just listening to people talk. But it is one of the coziest games ever. I fell asleep playing it a couple of times just because that's how like relaxed I was while playing it. But it is really entertaining. It's really fun. There's moments in it that are like really, really funny too. So highly recommend Coffee Talk. You can play it on Switch or on PC. I know that much because I played it on PC first, and then I saw that they had it on Switch, so I got it on there. Because I didn't have a PC at the time. So yeah. The Luigi's Mansion series is next, and for this one, I think I have all 3 games, but I've only played 1 and 3, and I haven't even beaten either of them, either, honestly, just because, I have this issue sometimes where I don't complete things. I don't quite know what that is, but sometimes I'll start playing a video game and then I don't finish it, and then I pick it up like months or years later and I'll finish it finally. But like, I'm kind of having that issue right now with Luigi's Mansion 3 because I've gotten farther than I did previously, but then Fatal Frame came out on the Switch, and so now I'm playing Fatal Frame, but I don't want to keep like not playing things. And then Animal Crossing had the update, so now I've stopped playing Fatal Frame and I'm playing Animal Crossing all the time. So now I haven't finished Fatal Frame again. So I need to like go backwards and just finish these games. That's my own personal issue with that. But either way, these are games that I've really enjoyed. I've also watched the full playthrough of all of these games. So I already know like what happens kind of. I don't mind spoilers personally. Which is also why I have trouble not giving spoilers on accident, because I don't care about spoilers. That's my own issue, and again, I'm very sorry if I spoil anything. Just consider that if I talk about any video games, they might have spoilers in them, but I'm gonna really try to work not to spoil things. Anyways, Luigi is my favorite. I don't like Mario. I don't know how, like, unpopular that opinion will be, but I don't like Mario. I really don't like Mario. Mario games can be fun, but Mario himself, don't like him. He gives off a bad vibe for me. Just don't like him. Luigi, on the other hand, has always been my favorite. So, Luigi himself is kind of more comforting to me than Mario is, and I'm so glad that they gave him his own games, and that they're spooky games, and that he hates spooky things. Like, I think it's adorable. So these games are just really adorable. They're not, like, too challenging, but they are still challenging. Like, getting the booze in particular can be really challenging. But they're like a good level of challenge. So, I do really like these games. They're very fun. They're pretty spooky, like you have the ghosts and everything, but they're spooky in like a fun way. And then you've got the pet ghost dog that comes in, and he's just adorable. So like, it's just really fun. And then like gameplay wise, it's really good. I sometimes get the controls mixed up, because like if he's facing you and you want to go to the right, let's say on the screen you want him to go to your right, if you click the right, he'll go to his right, so because it's mirrored because he's facing you, and sometimes that messes me up, but it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, it's a really fun game. It's a really spooky game, but it's spooky like in a fun way, not in like a totally creepy way. So for me, it's really cozy, especially if you are craving something spooky but not like too spooky. Then this is like right up the perfect alley for that, because it's not that spooky, but it's fun. Kirby's Epic Yarn, which is neither, it's not autumnal, like, at all, but it's so good, and I wish that they could put this game on the Switch too, Kirby's Epic Yarn. It's my favorite Kirby game. It's my first Kirby game. I don't remember playing any Kirby games before this one, so if I did play any of them, they didn't hit me quite the same. And I haven't played any since, just because I fell so much in love with this one in particular. And like, don't get me wrong, Kirby's awesome. I love Kirby. He's amazing and he's adorable, and I like that he like can suck things in and become them, kind of. I think that's kind of weird, but cool. But Kirby's Epic Yarn was my absolute favorite one, and I have like really fond memories of playing this with one of my exes, who is, he's a good guy, but like that was the first experience that I had playing it, and so I only mention him because it's kind of important. Like playing this game on your own, I think, can be pretty fun, but playing it with someone makes it so much more fun. So that was my first experience with it, was playing it with someone, and playing it with someone where we both wanted each other to succeed. It's a very teamwork kind of a thing. You can still kind of have competing things, but like who got the most gems and stuff, but it's not really about that, which I like. I don't like competitive games. I don't like competing. I like teamwork games. So for me, this one was like perfect, because there's like limited combat. Even when you are fighting, it's not really fighting, so like it's not like a really combative game. It's not a competitive game. It's just fun and simple, and it's adorable, and it's really cute. There's like a lot of feel-good stuff that's happening in it. Oh my god, I played this game, I think I was like 17 or 18 when I played this game. Wow, that's more than a decade ago. That's crazy. But yeah, like this is like an easy game, but not easy at the same time, because it's not easy to get all of the gems and keep all of them, because if you get hit, you lose gems, and then you have to try and collect them before they're lost forever. So there's some skill that it takes to like 100%ing this game or getting really good results for this game, but you don't have to get all of the gems to beat the levels. So like it's just a really fun, cozy, like enchanting sort of a game. Like I think even if you play it on your own, it's still pretty fun, but it's so much better to play with a friend. And this one's just like really fun. It's really cozy. This one's one of those cozy games where like if you're feeling bad, you want to play this to feel better, because it will absolutely brighten up your day. It's just really cute and adorable. How can you can't be sad with Kirby's Epic Yarn. You just can't. Let's see what's next. Undertale / Deltarune. So I do need to play Deltarune Part 2, but I kind of forgot what happened in the first one, so I also want to replay through the first part, or at least watch my playthrough again to see what I did for Deltarune. But because it's been a little while since I played it, so I kind of forgot what happened in Deltarune. Whereas Undertale, on the other hand, I've seen it a billion times. I've seen so many people play that one. But yeah, so this one's kind of similar. It makes it, the thing that makes it like very cozy is partially the soundtrack. Like the soundtrack is just so good. Some of it's a little spooky actually, but it's still like very calming. It's very nice. The story is fantastic. Like, oh my gosh, I absolutely love the story. The whole, and like how creepy it is that your computer remembers, like the game remembers your stuff. So that's kind of cool, but also creepy. And then the art style is just really nice, and like it's a land full of monsters. So again, it's kind of got that Coffee Talk theme where it's all monsters. But like they're not vicious or mean or anything like that. They're mostly pretty cool. So I actually really like that. I think it makes for like a cozier type of game, and also interesting, because I think it's more interesting when monsters are not like monstrous, I guess. They're just not human. They're monsters, but they're not really monsters. So yeah, I do think that this one is really cozy and really fun, but the difference for me between Undertale and Deltarune is a little cozier for me, because gameplay-wise, I think cozy games typically are easier to play, because when you're thinking cozy, you're not really thinking stress, you're not really thinking challenge. So having like easier, more available gameplay, I guess, more accepting gameplay. It's a word that starts with an A and I'm blanking on it, but like more accessible gameplay. Where like you can play it and you're not really having any kind of trouble playing it. Like even if it is a little challenging, as long as you can play it and it's not that hard or challenging, it's not like a game that you will rage quit or you will stress over or anything. To me, that's cozy. So Undertale in that sense is not cozy, because it's kind of bullet hell-esque. It's very bullet hell-esque, especially the very end. So that's the only downfall for Undertale, is that like it's cozy and cute and kind of spooky all around, but like the actual battles, if you choose to have them, it's not cozy anymore. Deltarune, on the other hand, from what I can recall, was an RPG style kind of a thing. And RPG style to me is much more cozy, because typically you can take your time, you can strategize, and like even if it is a little stressful because you have to get your strategy correct, it's not like time-based stress. It's more like, okay, I have to make important choices kind of a stress. So it's very much different. It's a different type of gameplay. So Deltarune, I thought, was really good and just like really, really charming. And they just kind of feel like very homey to me in a weird way, especially Toriel. Toriel was very homey. But yeah, it just in general, Undertale and Deltarune were kind of, they're games that I would consider like challenging cozy, I guess, because they are quite challenging, but they're also very cozy. And then the last one on my list, which is kind of an issue, but not really, because we're only like 35 minutes into this video now, about. is God of War, which might be surprising. It might not seem like a cozy game to a lot of people because it's Kratos. Which, like, for me, in the original God of War, you would be correct. The original God of Wars, the first 3 games and all of the side games, to me, those aren't cozy games. Those ones don't feel like cozy games to me, like, at all. But the newest one really did, and I think for the most part it's because of the colors and the tones that were in it. I feel like the original God of War just had a lot of, like, it was very much like, this is war, everything is kind of dirty and grimy and warish. Whereas, like, God of War, the newest one, it really does feel different. There's much more nature happening in it, I think. And especially, like, when you go to the witch's house, there's, like, her garden area is just so vibrant, but it's vibrant with, like, autumnal colors. If that makes any sense at all. It's got a much more autumnal feel to it. There's, like, the reds, but they're, like, the vibrant red of dying leaves. You know what I mean? Same thing with, like, the greens. They're much more, like, viridian. Is that the right color? Viridian kind of greens rather than, like, foresty greens, I guess? Like, dark kind of greens? Or sometimes that's the case, too. I don't know. My point is that the atmosphere, particularly with the colors, reminds me so much of autumn. There's just a lot of autumnal tones that are in there. Of course, except for when it starts being in, like, the snowy areas, in which case it's definitely more of a winter feel. Which is fine too, because I find winter and autumn to be cozy. But yeah, so that's kind of why God of War is in there for me, is it's just, usually when I think of autumn and I'm thinking of video games, my mind almost immediately goes to God of War, because I don't think we got it in the autumn. We got it, like, in the beginning of the year, or whenever it came out. Because I remember it being closer to Christmas, so I think we got it in the winter, actually. But, for some reason, it's one of those games that I want to play every single fall. Now I really want to play it. It's one of those games I want to play every single fall. Just because of that. So, that's also on my list. But yeah, that was my list for those. We're making a house here. This was a really hard build to do for me. Even though I really like these kinds of themes, for some reason this one was really difficult for me to do. I don't know why. You can kind of tell that I'm struggling with a lot of choices in this one. I think it's because I didn't really know what kind of theme exactly he wanted, even though, like, they state their themes, but it was just really hard to pinpoint exactly what I wanted to do with this one. I feel like, so, as I'm recording this right now, I now have 2-story homes. And I feel like having a 2-story home for this would have been really nice, actually. Because it would have given me a little bit more space. Of course, I can always go back and make them bigger. But here's his house. House of Bonsai. Oh, that's right. It's because he just wanted a lot of bonsai. But even their bonsai selection was limited, so for me I was like, what do you want? I think I remember I just decided to give him, like, red and gold theme. I could have just given him, like, a butt ton of bonsai everywhere. They didn't have, like, different selections for bonsai, though. They only had, like, 2 different bonsai, and then they had the bonsai table. But you couldn't, like, customize the bonsai. I feel like if you could customize the bonsai, I probably would have given him, like, a garden room, but I didn't want to have, like, 10 of the same thing there. Outstanding. Cool. So, just, like, super duper quick, while we're doing this, because I think I'm giving you guys a mini tour of my island now, I'm also gonna give you guys my list for my top 10 games of all time so far. So, as I'm recording this, it's November in 2021, and that will probably change. My favorite ones will probably change. Oh yeah, Wardell's gone. That's a thing too. So God of War is definitely in my top 10. These are not in order, by the way. I haven't ordered them at all. This is just a list that I made. So God of War is in my top 10. I've already kind of talked about it and why. Animal Crossing, obviously in my top 10. My Zelda games, technically all of those would be in my top 10. But for my top 10 like favorite games to play in general, I'm gonna actually do Minish Cap for this one. I don't like picking favorites or anything. I wonder what I'm talking about right here in the original video, because I just kind of paused. But we're going into the cafe. Oh, I think it's because I didn't know if I had showed you guys my cafe yet or not at this point, because of all the technical difficulties I was having. This is my cafe. I think I did show you guys my cafe. I think I showed you guys my build for my cafe, so I don't need to go into it. But there's my cafe. There you go. But yeah, I picked Minish Cap for this one, just because, like, of the 2D games, it's my favorite. Of the 3D ones, definitely Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask would be my favorite. Child of Light is on this list, and I already talked about that one, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but it is, like, one of my favorite games of all time. Night in the Woods quickly became one of my favorite games of all time. Fatal Frame, which I talked about in the last video, I think. Fatal Frame is also one of my favorite game series, so that's definitely in this list, and I spoke about that last video. Oh, this is my restaurant. I did not show the build for my restaurant. So this is Sugoi Diner, and it's called that because I originally started it as a diner, and then I started seeing like the Asian themed things, and most of the food is Asian themed also, so I figured why not go with an Asian theme, but I already had the diner part kind of set up, and I was like, meh, we'll make it kind of like those restaurants that are like hole-in-the-wall kind of restaurants, and they seem like maybe they're not really good quality, but they're actually fantastic food for like really good prices, so that was kind of my theme for this, and I might change it later because I don't really like the seating over here with the white seating because it kind of blocks in the creatures that sit there, so I might change it, but we'll see. And this is my kitchen, and Bluebear is asleep, but she is the head chef, and Walt is the assistant. Every time I come in there, Bluebear is asleep. That's so funny. But yeah, so they've got like the cutting board and the little fish right there. We've got some grilled veggies. We have mapo tofu and fried rice. And then over here we've got tteokbokki. Got a little dish dryer rack thingy, and then like a smoking area. So there's like meats and cheese in there, but I'm in my head it's for smoking like salmon or tuna or whatever. But that's my kitchen. There you go. That's Sugoi Diner. There it is. On with the list. Catherine, which I also spoke about in the previous video, is another game that's in my top 10. It's one of my favorite games. Is this even 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, totally. Okay. So then two that I have, well, one that I talked about, kind of. The Last of Us 2 is also in my favorites, and that one is controversial, I know, and I already talked about that in my last video. So The Last of Us 2 is also in here. And then Jeanne d'Arc, which I will get into after this cute little cutscene with Wardell. And now we have Soundscapes, which is pretty cool. I like never used them in the last one, and I think I used it once so far in another video that's coming up. But you can't even tell the difference. Anyways, Jeanne d'Arc is a PSP game, and it's a game that I've never heard anyone really talk about, and I don't know why, because for me it was like one of my favorite RPG kind of games, and it is based on Joan of Arc, because in French her name is Jeanne d'Arc. So it is a Joan of Arc game, but with like fantasy, mystical kind of elements in it instead. So Jeanne ends up finding this bracelet. Like, there's this knight that she finds who's on his horse and he's all injured and stuff, and she finds his bracelet, and it like goes from his wrist onto hers immediately. So now she's like the host of this bracelet, and she starts hearing this voice, which in legend we can assume is the voice of God. And that's kind of what they take it for, and it's basically kind of telling her to save France, and it also gives her these powers. And so it's kind of cool. It gives her like special armor and special powers that she can use to save France and everything. Don't know why I pause right here. I think I'm checking out my my dudes. My little gyroids. Anyways, she's got two friends that kind of get involved in it. The cutscenes are all like anime style, which is cool. But it's really fun. It's just a really fun game. So I might show this off a few times, because I don't remember how many times I've shown this, but this is my graveyard. I've got the glowing moss, and I'm really proud of it. I really like the glowing moss. I think it looks really nice in the graveyard, especially at night. Especially when you like walk over it. I kind of want to make it the path, but I also don't, because I like the path that I use. But yeah, that's my graveyard. Check it out. So Jeanne d'Arc though is really good. I highly recommend, if you can get your hands on a copy of it and you can get it on the PSP. I wonder now if they have it on the PlayStation Network at all, because that would be fantastic if they just remade it for PlayStation. But I still have my PSP and I still have Jeanne d'Arc. So that's also one of my favorite ones. It was just like so good. It was so good. It was also like very influential for me in my teen years, because it is an older game. I think I was like 15 or 16 when it came out, but definitely one of my favorite RPGs like ever. So Jeanne d'Arc is in there. That's my Zen Garden, by the way. This is my Zen area. It's not complete, but I have situated things there, and like I think I show it a few times, but it evolves over time, my little Zen area, because I don't quite know what exactly I want to do with it. But yeah, that's my Zen Garden. Take a look-see. I kind of want to get like some patterns for the sand, because I think it would be nice. But this is the little sit-down area. You can just like meditate or have some tea. I did actually add 2 more things right next to those lanterns. The little tiny bamboo tree things, but they're not trees. I forget what they're called, but I added those over there. I've been playing this game since, so like there's a few episodes ahead of this one that I've already recorded. Oh, here I have green. I think it's a mum. I have a green flower now, and I have black tulips, so I was showing those off in this part. And also, if I run out of room to put more flowers in here, because I think I also have pink tulips, which I do not see in here, so I need to make space for them. I think I'm telling you guys that I'm just going to use this area up here instead of going downwards. I'm just going to move that garden faucet and use that area up there to do things. So I think I kind of have to do that, because now I have a pink tulip that I need to move. Also, currently I'm trying to get Molly in my island. I would love to get Shino, because I love Shino. Who doesn't love Shino? I feel like she's going to be like one of the most popular animals. She's just so cool and stylistic. Those are my potatoes. Proud of them. But currently, of the amiibo cards that I have, I'm trying to get Molly, because I think she's really cute. There's my pink tulips. I didn't even see those for a long time. I didn't notice that they were there, and then I was like, oh, those are pink, aren't they? But yeah, I'm trying to get Molly, and like, she's really cute. I just want her on my island. I had coffee with her, which I think is really nice. I think it's nice that you can have coffee with some of these characters. So like, let's say that you maybe want to bring someone in, you can have coffee with them and like meet with them and talk with them in the cafe before you actually bring them to your island, which is cool. Oh, I think I'm kind of showing off the map too and talking about that and like what I want to do with the map. Because I do want to make... Oh, I did make a waterway, never mind. I was going to say, I do want to make a waterway, which I already did, but it's there. In one of my previous ones, it wasn't there, but now it is. I don't really know what else to narrate over. This is my island. Those are my gyroids. What am I doing? Oh, I'm going to get a coffee. Oh, it's Rasher. Hey, Moosh, we've been looking all over for you. I don't want that, but I'll take it. Usually if I don't want something, which is most of the time, I just sell it, which I feel like most people do. I feel kind of bad for selling it, because... I don't know, I just feel bad for selling gifts. Oh, that's my cafe area. I just need some seating. And I might want to increase the space on the other side. Or... yeah, I think I'm talking about increasing the space on that side, or I might come over here and increase space on this side. And widen that area, and then move my cafe, just switch those two sections. I might do that. I do remember me talking about that in the original version of this video. Where no audio got captured. What a shame. There's Blathers. I want that tattooed on me. His little roost thingy. Insignia. Is that what it's called? What am I looking for? I'm watching this with you guys now. Am I looking for his cookie? Because he did make a... he gave me a cookie. That's the cookie that he gave me. Isn't it cute? I kind of want to make one of those in real life. Just figure out what the heck is a sable, first of all, and then make it. I want to make that. I wonder how difficult it would be to be able to make your own custom, like, cookie cutter thing, though. Always. And I love how he's got his little roost logo on the cups also. I want those cups in real life. Like, I kind of want them to actually make roost cups, because that would be awesome. Oh, is this where I test him? Oh, I think it is. So, I was really curious to see what would happen, because every single time I drink it, and I drink it right away. Oh, this made me so nervous, because every single time I'm like, you would think. Every single time I just drink it right away, and so like there was one time where I let it cool once, and then he did the ... and I was like, I'm just gonna drink it. This is making me nervous. I don't want to offend him, because I love him. And so this time I was like, I'm just gonna try. I'm gonna try to do let it cool for a while. And so that's basically what I do. I just continuously press let it cool. Nothing happens. Sorry to spoil that for you, but nothing happens. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't get mad at you, which is good. He doesn't get like disappointed or anything. But the game is kind of sassy about it, which I thought was kind of interesting. Because I think at this point I'm just like, is anything gonna happen at all? Like, now I have no fear. Because I'm like, nothing's happened yet. And then I got tired of doing it, so I went, okay, coffee time. Let's drink it. Brewster knows what he's doing. The perfect cup, even at room temp. I thought that was like such a funny and sassy way to do that. Just to be like, listen to Brewster next time. Too much coffee can mess with you. He's not wrong. It really can. 3:07 a.m. Well, it's kind of about that time actually in real life with me recording this right now. It's only been 2 days. I'm only recording this 2 days later. That's crazy. Anyways, this was the episode. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like if you like, leave a dislike if you didn't, leave a comment if you want, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye!